She went right downstairs from school. Um, and it was, three something, like almost 300 and almost $400 a month. It's very expensive. But she didn't have to be bused anywhere. But they don't really have, once they get out of elementary school, there's nothing after school for the kids that I
Right.
know of. I mean, you guys can tell me. I don't.
Well, I mean, yeah, other than clubs and sports, yeah, you just go home.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Like,
Right.
and that really sucks because I know for me, my parents have never been able to like get me after school or anything, like because my mom's working, my dad doesn't drive. And so now that school is shorter and like there's a bunch of things that we have to worry about now, like what are people who are either in the same boat, less fortunate, different circumstances, whatever, what are they going through with this? It's like I don't really know what to really think or do with any of this.
Yeah, so it just feels like it's haphazardly being done. And I don't think anybody kind of knows what's going to happen. And I think the
Yeah.
students are just as worried. I think, the students that I just kind of speak to periodically, and I'm like, so what do you think about this reentry thing? And they're like, I don't think they've really thought much out. And I think they spent more of their time trying to ask people what they wanted as opposed to really developing on how to kind of make everything remote. As opposed to, I mean, just make it remote. Just do everything, hire some more guidance counselors. I know the federal government gave municipalities additional funding. So you had enough money to hire maybe five or six
Also
different.
make quite a bit more money to hire guidance counselors through getting some of those SROs that probably aren't going to be wearing their masks out of our schools.
Exactly. I mean, they're not going to be I want to see Appleby wearing a mask all day. Like I want to see that. I mean, it's not going to happen. And then what's going to happen is you guys are going to see somebody's going to take a picture, and it's going to end up in the New Haven Independent, and then it's going to become a big blowout. And they're going to be like, what? It's not fair. I mean, and for kick's sake, I did invite Superintendent Goler to come and talk about the SROs. He never responded to my email either, so don't feel bad.
He wouldn't. He
That's so
wouldn't.
surprising. Oh.
He was like, yeah. So what'll happen is after he sees this, he's gonna be like, what? There was a thing? Yes, there was a thing. We wanted you to come and speak to the students. Yes, those are the folks that you actually serve. So, but yeah, so this is really good stuff. So, did any of you guys, I know the parents got a survey. Did anybody in Hampton get a survey? New Haven was sending us a survey every 2 weeks. Not even kidding.
Yeah, my brother he's in New Haven and he got that survey. I think my sister got like one survey
I
that
think there was
she knows
one
of.
survey, maybe.
The
I
survey,
think.
the
Like
survey
online on
was
the email. Like, did you get like an email survey from your mom or somebody saying like, what choice would you like to pick? Or did they just decide?
the only survey I remember getting was like the last day of school, and they're like, just tell us about how you liked remote learning. That's like the only one.
I knew this was going to be educational for me.
Oh yeah, wait, I remember that one show.
Yeah.
How did you like it? It was terrible. Okay, we're going to probably do it again. So I'm sorry you didn't like it.
But I
Yeah,
definitely
just if I can add one thing, like Rhonda, thank you for doing this. Rhonda's always on it, guys, to call out the students and like reach out to everyone she knows, and like just this time that we
had
should
more
probably
people
be involved. Yeah, exactly.
We could do this again. You know what I wanted to do? I wanted you guys to do like a Hamden High School like sit-in, like an old-fashioned sit-in, and we all show up to the town hall. Everybody just take a seat, and we just pass the mic around. We wipe it down with the Clorox. Your turn, and everybody just say what they need to say, and we just sit there. And of course, they're all gonna come running over there with the, they're gonna do that thing, but maybe they'll listen to you if you do a sit-in and you sit down on the side of the town hall steps, and everybody just sits there for 2 hours, and we talk about why you guys don't feel safe going back, and just list all the questions that we are talking about, just these random questions. I mean, what do you guys, what do they think about? How are they going to address, the cops that are going to walk around without a mask? Are the cops going to walk around a mask all day? The security guard, well, we know Mount Battles will because he's awesome. But are the teachers going to have a mask? What are we going to do about the guidance counselors? The office is filled with people trying to get their questions answered. Have you guys resolved that issue? They're not thinking about this because they're only the teachers union and the teachers, and I love the teachers, they're great, but nobody's asking the students, especially the older ones. Everybody's worried about the elementary schools and putting together pods and all this other kind of stuff, but the Hampton Middle School, no question. And then, let me ask you another question. Who's going to get on a bus? My child has sworn she's not getting on anybody's bus. Because it's like, well, who am I sitting next to? Are they going to have the virus? Are they going to do a temperature check before people get on the bus? I'm like,
let me tell
know.
you, if somebody tries to sit next to me on a bus, I am kicking you. I'm so sorry.
My bus has like 8 people.
You will not be sitting next to me.
My mom is a bus driver, and they're having like meetings about how they're gonna, do the whole bus driving routes. And I haven't been listening in, but she knows more about it than I do. But I know they're having like a ton of safety procedures and stuff. And I'm just like, Mom, do you really want to drive the bus?
I don't think she wants to drive. I mean, really, not this year. Just told her she got to take a leave of absence until around April.
I heard something like they'd be having kids come from the back, so they're not like passing students. So the first student would like come through the back of the bus and walk to the front, and then like, so you're not walking past anybody. That's what I don't know where I read that and about what school district, but yeah. So then kids wouldn't continually pass the bus driver, and I guess less passing the better. So.
But why the back? They could just have people walking the regular way and start in the back.
I don't know. So they're not making contact with the bus driver.
It has not been carefully thought out, really. I mean, it's just questionable. I don't know.
Another thing is dismissal. Think about all the kids that crowd in the staircase when you have to leave. Like, are they going to say, okay, students for bus 1, please walk down there? Like, no, this isn't elementary school.
It's not.
How is that going to work?
Right. Like I said, nobody has really carefully thought it out. I don't think. I mean, we kind of strategized all these questions and was like, okay, what are we going to do about this? And what are we going to do about that? Nobody wanted to kind of tell me anything. So
I want to put some emphasis on what Marisha just said. Because like when we have emergency dismissals, like that's what they'll do. Like they'll be like, if you're on these buses, go, bye. And then that's just not what happens. Kids will leave the classrooms just because they don't want to be in class. They'll stand around in the hallways. They'll be playing around with their friends. Like it's not safe at all. Like it's just a play zone at that point. Like, and it's nonsense. Like,
so not to mention safety week and the fire drills. Let's hope they don't have any of those.
Oh my God, we forgot about the fire drills.
Like,
oh my God. So what do you think about? So that you don't think it should have any sports in school? Like there shouldn't be any like. What about gym and stuff like that? I mean,
they're gonna have to exercise virtually.
Yeah.
Wait, are you for real?
You can't stop laughing. I mean, what do we? Again, I don't. They're not giving any details on what's gonna happen, so I don't know how they're gonna do it.
I think sports. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm just saying, I think sports should be like pushed back and probably not start till like January. So by that time, you've been in school for like a few months, even if it is remote or in person, you've been in school for a few months and you went back for Thanksgiving break, Christmas break. And then after all that, see like what the numbers are. And, just all 3 season sports would just have shorter seasons. I think that would be ideal.
So what happens what happens if somebody, one person in your class, like your homeroom, comes up positive, or that teacher comes up positive? What do you think they should do?
It's gonna be March all over again. Bye, everybody, go home. That's what my question is an experiment, literally.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what about if somebody in the food service goes home with a fever, doesn't feel well, and then you find out 2 days later that they were actually COVID positive? And everybody had to go through and get their food, right? If they're gonna let everybody go back through the, the one-way system to get. Or the bus driver, let's say the bus driver comes up positive. Is the whole school got to go home and quarantine? Because in Georgia, they had that situation where I guess 11 kids got positive because, everybody's got it and whatnot. And now 1,100 people are all in quarantine. So they had to shut the schools down anyway because everybody's got to stay home in quarantine for 14 days and see who comes up positive. But there's no plan, and there's no widespread testing either. Like every person is not getting tested before school opens. So, I mean, I would feel good with that if every person, even the folks that deliver supplies, if you come in the building, you must have already had a test that's like a baseline test. But they're not doing that either. So we don't really know where the virus is. We just know it's out there. And then we're going to wait and see whose child gets it first. That's what I see.
Yeah, and then you also have the people that just don't show any symptoms. So you have to take that into account too.
Yeah.
You don't really know. I don't know.
Yeah, the ones that don't show symptoms are really especially problematic, I think, because they kind of walk around for 14 days or maybe even 3 weeks and they're completely shedding the virus. And they don't even know it, and if they wear a mask and if they, rub their eye, touch their nose and then touch a surface, it lives on the surface for who knows how long, I don't know. But again, I don't know what the deep cleaning process is. I think that they were originally doing 4 days of school in Hamden and then Friday's the deep clean day. But that's problematic too, because that means you're walking around in it for 4 days until, so it'll take about maybe 2-3 weeks before any cases kind of pop up. But I do feel, I agree that I think it's going to be mainly those who have the ability to work from home. Like I work from home. I've been working from home since March 12th. It's no big deal. My agency says they want everybody to work from home. They don't even want anybody to come back because they don't want to have the liability. But that's a blessing. But not everybody can do that, So there are parents that are essential workers, or their company is saying they have to go and there's no other, alternative. So what do those parents do? Do you guys have parents that are essential workers, have to go to work? So if you do distance learning, do you have to do it by yourself at home?
Yeah, my dad works in New York, so he has to go. Like he's mandatory.
So you would have to just be home with your, you said you have a 7-year-old sibling? Yeah. And that's hard too, because now you have to be home and then try to do homework and schoolwork with a sibling because the parents have to go. So, I mean, that's the other side of it.
I think online learning this time may be a little bit easier since now they're actually using the Zoom, whereas before they were like, no, we're not doing Zoom. So it's kind of easier to see your teacher actually teaching you.
But even with Zoom, I feel like teachers still have like a lot to learn. So there should be days, PD days and stuff like that they take before we even start school to learn. Zoom has so many functions and there needs to be some type of
day. On the bright side with that, Moshe, I don't know if anyone watched the board meeting on Tuesday, but Mr. Goller did announce that the state waived like 3 days off and 2 of them are going to be professional development. I don't know specifically what for, but at least they're going to have some sort of exit preparation, which is really good. Just wanted to put that out there.
Wow. So I know that you all had gone on Hamden Action Now to have a meeting on, the input. You all wanted to have input on curriculum and other items and whatnot, but it doesn't seem like they really listened really well. And I don't think that you all haven't had any input on this whole reentry process, I don't think. I mean, they haven't even sent y'all a questionnaire.
Well, I've actually been meeting with Chris Miller, Jody Goller, and Karen Kaplan, and a few other people on a reopening committee. So I've myself and Abby Cole, we're the 2 students who've been on that committee. And in those discussions, we have been talking, but still there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. So, yeah. But as a whole student body, there hasn't been a reach out to even more than just us 2.
demand their respect and their attention, because they will not give you anything if you do not like demand what you want. Like really put yourself out there. And I think it's a really good step that they are allowing students to talk about this sort of thing. I remembered I asked Mr. Goller about it, and I didn't hear anything back. So I'm glad that you said that you and Abby are on this committee. So progress somewhere.
Well, I just think that it's incredible that nobody's talking to you guys, because I was like, I know the parents are all freaked out, because I am, because I'm a parent, I'm freaked out. And I just think it just reeks of a science project. It reeks of, let's just see how long we can do this before somebody, it starts to have this really big spreading effect happens. And then we're going to just shut it down, and we're going to go to distance learning anyway. But I don't know why we have to be, sacrificial lambs to have that happen. I just don't. And I don't think there's so many of these additional things that haven't been, carefully thought about. And I think that that's really a bigger problem. They have to really think about these things. And, everybody gets mad when Hampton Action Now gets involved and starts asking questions and says, why are we doing this? And why are we doing that? And everybody's like, oh, we've got it all under control. But these are young people here, and they don't feel comfortable and secure. And that's a problem. You guys should feel that way, I think. What else do you guys want to see with this reopening? What else, anything else that you can think of that just hasn't been thought about?
I definitely know, just because we aren't able, but the school spirit is definitely just, this year, I feel like everybody's just worried about just getting done with school, because we can't have homecoming, no games, stuff like that. So the school spirit that we already kind of did not have too much of, we had some, but this year is definitely just everybody. I feel like it's everybody for themselves. I don't really feel like a community, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's different this year. I think that what happens is that everybody's so disconnected because we don't see each other anymore. I mean, we see each other through Zoom. And I know that I don't know how you guys were doing after they did their initial shutdown on March 12th, but I know we had a hard time in our house, because, my daughter was crying. I want to go out. Why can't we go out? We're not going out anywhere. And then we started watching TV and got scared. Then I couldn't get her to come out of the bed. I was like, I'm going to pick up the groceries. You want to take a ride? No. You sure? She didn't want to leave her room for 2 weeks. I couldn't. I mean, I was like, yeah, you have to at least go take a shower and change out of those pajamas. Nope, didn't want to do that. So, I mean, I don't know how you guys were able to, older young people were able to really handle it, because it was, I mean, I'm okay now. I mean, like, I go and put my mask on, I go wherever, I'm walking with the sanitizer, I'm making everybody sanitize. But back then, I didn't even want to go pick up food. It's like, so how did you guys handle all of that? And did you get any support from school while the whole thing was going on?
I surprisingly got a lot of support, like not in the sense that of like my education perhaps, because the learning part was so extremely difficult for some reason. But when I reached out to like the social workers and stuff, like I was having like a really rough time, like the month school closed and like few months after, like the 1 or 2 after. And I was actually really surprised, like my social worker would like call me and like be like, oh, are you okay, and stuff like that, which was really good. And I don't know if a lot of students got that, but I mean, it would be really great if everyone did. And I think that's something that we should work towards as we think about reopening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know how I mean, like we're all kind of socialized with either a mask if we're in person or on Zoom. So, and it all was so abrupt. It was so drastically abrupt, and everybody would just, I know I had a hard time with it. I mean, I was sitting in my office, my phone rang and said, so New Haven Public Schools, school will be closing at 1 o'clock. Basically I had to run home and go get my child off the bus. And then we got the call when I got on the way home saying school's closed tomorrow until March 31st. And I was like, what? School's closed for 2 weeks? So, and then it turned into like forever. So it was just terrible. I don't even know. So what do you guys think about maybe doing a little peaceful action and, getting together as many students in masks and gloves and sanitizers, and kind of join up and maybe talk a little bit more. We can have another one of these next week or whenever you want. Maybe I'll invite some, I'll try to invite some folks from the Hamden Public School District to see what they have to say. Maybe they'll become willing to come on and answer some questions now.
Oh, for
You guys
sure.
want to do this again? Or,
Yeah.
I mean, I can always
Yeah.
start like a Google Doc and see if you all want to just add things to it. Have you guys thought about this list? And then just kind of put that down and maybe they'll answer you all before school starts, because I really am interested in about that whole, when school lets out and there's a big crowd trying to get out the building, what's the plan for that? And maybe they thought of that, but we don't know. And you don't want to wait till you get there because then it's too late. And then I think there's a lot of kids with a lot of anxiety that don't really even, like if we stand in line at the CVS too long, we freak out. I'm like, lady, you and your coupon need to move. I just got one thing I want to buy. I need to get out of here. I don't want to stand in this building too much longer. So I don't even know, how that would be to be, in a classroom for too long. And, the anxiety of the virus is there. It's floating around, who has it. And that's also really terrifying as well. So I wanted to find out, the anxiety levels, the ancillary items like guidance counselors. What are we going to do about gym and band and all the other, non-academic activities that have go on that are normal things? Would they be canceled too? And it's exceptionally troubling for the seniors, because this is the year where, if you're in band or if you're, even trying to have your academics get to a point where you want to get into that college, it's going to be hard to get all this stuff in the middle of this pandemic at this point. So if there's a list of things that you need to get answered before school starts, I think that it's August 13th that we should probably start that now and then submit it to Superintendent Goler and see what he comes back with, and give him a short timeline because we're running out of time. And he should probably tell you all how he's going to handle it. I mean, you should just know before you kind of get on that bus on this first day of school. Any other items?
I can answer the question about what band is doing, because I meant if anyone cares, because I'm in band and we've talked about it. As far as I know, I am behind on a few emails, but as far as I know, it's only going to be strings and percussion, because they were like, no way to all of these saxophones and stuff being played, like even if we're outside, they're like, absolutely not. Okay. So yeah, that's how that's gonna go, which sucks for a lot of students because they were planning to get like scholarships and stuff going to music schools, and like I feel awful for everyone who has to do that.
Yeah. There's so many things that I think everybody has lost with this pandemic, and I don't even think people talk about that much. About what we lost, obviously, our relationships, our face-to-face relationships with people. And, a lot of relationships have changed because of this, because, if you see everybody at school every day, and then all of a sudden, like I saw everybody at work every day for 6 years. And then all of a sudden one day I never went back there again. And it's the same thing with school. All of a sudden you guys just didn't go back to school anymore. But you still were required to get work done in a really weird situation. And I don't know, even just to kind of talk about that, to talk it through, and how, the anxiety of that, having to have the challenges of having to do online work maybe, or being scared or concerned or having anxiety sitting in a class with some invisible virus floating around and we don't know who has it. And that's also a distraction. I mean, how do you concentrate on work? Schoolwork in your senior year with the anxiety of this thing floating around and we don't know where it is. And there's still so many unanswered questions, either scientifically as well as emotionally. I mean, everybody, you know, we were offered to go back to our office like next week. I was like, I'm not going back there. Like, I'm not going. So, and they were like, okay, you know, they're trying to encourage everybody to work from home and telecommute, which is great. Because, you know, I'd have to probably find another job if they required that I absolutely had to go, because the anxiety would be, I couldn't get any work done. So I just, you know, want to make sure that you all are supported, you know, with this reopening plan, with this hybrid, you know, in some days, out some days, because it's going to be different. It's going to be strange. And there's going to be a level of anxiety associated with it. So you want to add that to the list as well. And if you have any other students, you know, absolutely, you know, have them include, you know, their questions and their email address, and then we can include them. And I can start that today, and I'll circulate it through text, and you guys can add your things on it. And maybe we can try to do this again next Tuesday and see if someone would want to join us, or we could talk some more about, at least you'll have some level of comfort on getting some of the answers that you need. You know, I know the graduates, you know, you guys have your own level of anxiety. You know, Miriam and Marisha, starting college. Oh Lord. And I don't know what they're doing. What is university? I don't know what any UNH or Yale, what are their plans? Are they going to do in person, or is it going to be
Well,
distance?
UNH has like a hybrid program, but they also
Okay.
say that if you want your classes to be completely online, you can do that. What I'm doing, I'm gonna do their hybrid, but it's just like I'm so content with being at home. Do I really want to go on campus? Like, I don't know, but I go to school for like 2 days a week, so that's fine. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
the fact that I have to actually go back to school again and have that anxiety of like, do you have the virus? Do you not have the virus? I don't want it, don't touch me. Like, you know, just that stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm nervous because it just doesn't feel like school is coming up. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Yale's is kind of also like that. They have a hybrid for, so juniors and seniors are allowed back all year, but freshmen are only allowed back first semester. And I think just with the anxiety, like Marisha was touching on, of just not being sure, all of that kind of stuff, I decided to stay home. So I'm going to be remote all year. It doesn't really feel like I'm starting college at all. And I think Marisha can attest to this too. None of that like fun stuff and a lot of the orientations and just meeting new people. It's definitely going to be different in like a COVID conscious world. I don't really know what to expect. I'm trying to, you know, be hopeful and stuff like that. But also I think everyone here is so zoomed out. It's kind of like the worst parts of education are what we're focusing on, just because you can't see your teachers or your friends or anyone in person, things like that. I think it's definitely going to be tough. So trying to be aware of like my mental health and everything else, that like what I can take on and when is too much for me. I think those limits are definitely going to change. But yeah, I think we have to get used to organizing in a COVID pandemic kind of world now.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to think like, will we ever kind of get over where we are right now? Like, how long is this going to last?
Yeah.
You know, concerts. Will there be concerts in 2021? Like, who knows at this point?
Yeah. Yeah, the scientists have been very clear on how to slow this thing down. It's controllable, but you have to make a lot of sacrifices, which I think we did. Connecticut's done a fabulous job. I mean, honestly, with all the rest of the world, the rest of the United States, Connecticut and even New York and I think New Jersey, Massachusetts are kind of on the ropes, but Connecticut, I mean, we have less than 6% infection rate right now in our state. We have no COVID deaths in the last, I guess, week or so, and there's only 60 people in the hospital with COVID right now. I mean, because we're wearing masks, we're not doing any indoor eating, there's no bars open. And I don't see anybody like, you know, marching on the Capitol here in Connecticut. People, you know, they were grumbling at the beginning, but there's nobody marching with guns on the Capitol, threatening to kill everybody because they need a haircut. I mean, everybody has been, I mean, Connecticut has just rolled with it, you know, and people are not police. I was at Walmart and this lady walked this guy down and told him to cover his nose. She was like, sir, your nose is exposed. You need to cover your nose with your whole mask. And I was like, yeah, get him, and people are just not having it. And I think that's the reason why we have such a low infection rate, which just gives me some level of comfort, I think, with, maybe going back to school, maybe, but I don't know if I like being inside of a building. The air exchange units, and, you have to have special filtration to make sure that, the air is not circulating throughout the whole building. And I don't know how meticulous people have been in making sure that the cleaning and the air filtration systems are correct. And it's just too much.
My worry
too much.
about our numbers is when college kids from like Florida and stuff start coming up here. I'm like, just every.
I mean, they're making them like
should be,
quarantine,
but
it's still bad.
Especially if you're look at Florida, they're crazy. Like, even if people come up who are like not, the quarantine probably won't like stop them because they might not care. I'm just like, if all those people just come up here and they're coming from states whose numbers are terrible, I'm just like, it's not gonna be too long until the college is shut down.
Right. And they're gonna have to come back home. And that's what, I mean, my child's only 12, and that's her chief concern is that I don't want to come home and give you the virus. And I appreciate that, because I don't want you to give it to me either. And I don't want you to get it. But if she gets it, somebody's gonna have to take care of her, and I'm the only one here. So, it's just not, it's just like you said, that's something I forgot all about that. The college kids that are going down to Georgia, like I have a friend that just sent her kid to Florida, FSU, Florida State University. They're in person. They're not doing distance. They're not offering it. So he's a sophomore. He's got to go or take a year off, and he's on a scholarship, so he's got to go. Yeah. He's going to sleep in a dorm with somebody he doesn't know. He's going to be in a dorm. I don't, I mean, I just
rather sleep.
I cannot do
that. It's just too much. It's too much. So, I know scientists are working around the clock to try to get a vaccine and get some therapeutic treatment. So if we get it, people won't, we can survive it. And those that, don't do well can survive. So I just think everybody just needs to be patient. They could just ride this thing out to like the first of the year. We can make it. I just think it's just a little bit more patience, and just be okay. But I just wanted to hear from the older children. I know y'all don't want me calling you children, but the older people, because I'm hearing a lot from parents all over, and I'm a parent and I'm saying the same thing as a parent, but I wanted to hear from the teenagers, because I wanted to hear that are you guys okay? You just all right just to roll back? And if you aren't, then we should probably have some greater discussions before September. So I'll start the Google Doc, and then maybe we can put together another date. And if you want to invite some more students to this, that'd be great. Or if you want to do a sit-in, that'd even be more fun. But we have to sit in with some gloves and a mask and the heat on the, the town hall steps and whatnot. But definitely all these scenarios that we talked about would be really great to write down and hand it to them, and make it a public affair, so that everybody knows that there are some concerns that need to be considered before everybody's expected to get on a bus and go sit back in a high school classroom. Pastor Jack, did you have any words of support?
No, just I appreciate the conversation. I've been more focused on the elementary school stuff, because that's my kids' age range. So I was fascinated to try to hook in and see what you all were talking about, speaking of the elementary school age kids.
Yeah.
So that's we just sent our 3-year-old back to daycare this week as an experiment, but it's a totally different scenario. I mean, it's so many nerves, so like scary, so on a lot of levels, but they really have like a clear system in place.
It's easier to control like daycare than it is like an 18-year-old.
Right. Right.
You know, like and I was saying earlier, I was like, if you have an SRO, are they going to be policing the masks? Are they going to be policing the social distancing? Because then that's going to be problematic.
And what kinds of discipline are they going to use to enforce those rules? And
yeah. So I don't know if that's been talked about. And so we need to ask these questions on how, you know, and then there's this big issue with the guidance counselors that are, for the seniors, they need a lot of support from a guidance counselor to get prepared or applied to school. And everybody can't go, you know, Montra was saying the guidance counselor office is crowded on, you know, the early part of September and senior year. And you can't be crowded in the guidance counselor. Are they going to take appointments, and how, you know, are they going to do Zooms, or, you know, what are they going to do? So it's like, let's just want to find out if these services are still going to be available to the kids. And, you know, what if you get sick and you get one person gets COVID and they're a positive in your class? Does the whole school now have to quarantine, or just that class? But that person was walking around in the school. You know, what if you know, the maintenance person or a food service person gets COVID? Bus driver.
Will, Darius was talking about band, and I mean, like, all of the data shows like music, like wind instruments and singing are like the most dangerous thing that you can do. But there is a couple of national music organizations that are pooling their resources to fund a study to see ways to figure out ways to reduce that risk, so that you like, from like masks specifically designed so you can play your instrument while you're wearing the mask somehow, and covering things to cover the instrument so it reduces the amount of droplets that come out from the instrument itself. But I just don't know how it's feasible, and to also lament the sort of loss of like that time. A lot of I lament all the artists who, like, this was going to be the year that they were going to like self-discover and really live into their full potential. Yes. That's real kind of tragic on a lot of levels, because that's an entire career that was hinging on a single year, that you won't have the breakout moment in the same way.
Well, it's the same thing. I mean, you know, Moncho, she plays, you know, women's basketball, you know, and, you know, like, I would be devastated if Simone couldn't play high school basketball. You know, this is your like a chance to maybe get scouted or get looked at or considered, you know, for a scholarship, or even, you know, they were saying that a lot of, you know, I know the CIAC conference said that they're going to go ahead and play anyway, but a lot of parents are going to keep their kids home because they're, you know, they're still scared. I mean, we're still in the thick of this thing. We don't have a vaccine. We don't have any treatments. So, you know, it's still kind of, we don't know what's going to happen if you get it. You might do well, you might do very poorly and not make it. So it's the cold that could definitely kill you.
Right,
and that's
when
what
you
it
can't be
starts out
outside
as.
all the time. Yeah.
It starts out as a cold, and then before you know it, you can't breathe, and that's it. So,
well, I guess from the pastoral perspective, I'm really curious to hear from you all where you're finding community. Like, how are you when you're socially distant? Do you have like your pod of friends that you still see in person, to sort of keep it small but like still connect with folks? Or like, are you one of you I heard earlier say like, yeah, I'm really jamming on being at home, you know? This is like introverts paradise, right? I know even my introvert friends are like, oh, I'm going crazy.
Especially when you have a ton of food in your house. Like, why go anywhere?
There you go.
And binge watching Netflix. Like, come on.
It's the life.
Heaven.
It's the dream.
Yeah.
Lots of food and lots of binge watching. But how are you feeling? Like, how are you staying connected to your people?
Well, I still have my small group of friends that I still see in person. And well, I've been working actually. So even though like I don't know the people who come, it's still like around people, and, you know, it's not as isolated. You still have little conversations, you know, so I haven't been like too alone.
Yeah, that's the same with me. You know, just a few people like now and again that I'll see in person. But also working, I have two jobs. I work at Suit Girl, and I do virtual camps for Eli Whitney. So I get to see like a variety of different people that I get to talk to like pretty much every day, and that really helps me out.
Yeah, I can relate to Mocho and Darius. I have been working, so like my social bubble is expanding, guys. I haven't been home as much. But yeah, I still hang out with a few friends, not as much because I'm very cautious of who I, am around, as you should be. But yeah.
That's cool. That's
Well, and
cool.
work is definitely like a huge disparity component, right? Like the risk you take on as youth who go to work, right? Versus other kids not needing to take that risk in the same way. So but it's do you all feel comfortable? Like you feel like you have a safe setup in your work? Are you like, do you have to deal with the like jerk faces who like rail on you or refuse to put on their masks, or how does that feel, and how does it make you feel more comfortable going back knowing that you can already function in some space?
Where I work, I wear gloves, mask, and then we have a plexiglass. So those make me feel safe. And then most people who shop, I work at BJ's. So most people are like families, so they're cautious. They're not trying to be too like hard-headed and go against the rules. So it's pretty calm. Yeah. You'll have like a few people that get too close and you have to be like, okay, back up a little
Back
bit.
up.
Yeah. But it's not bad.
That's cool.
Marisha, you can. Yeah.
I can relate to Mo. I work at Chick-fil-A, so we're not always like in close contact with people, and usually they always have their mask on. So like even when I do curbside delivery and they're not wearing their mask in the car, once they see me come, they'll like put it on. But yeah, people have been very respectful.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's totally cool.
Yeah. In my instance, of course, the virtual camps, no contact at all, which makes it actually a lot harder because we have to like teach kids how to make things. But at Soup Girl, it's like a little family-owned place, and like people who come in are usually very respectful, which is nice. But sometimes it does get a little bit busy, it does get a little bit crowded, and we don't really, because it's a small spot, it's really hard to make sure people are staying apart and sort of enforcing these rules. But we make it happen.
Totally awesome.
Are there things that you've learned from working out in public that would translate into the school, like something that the school should be aware of that they might not have thought through because they haven't functioned yet?
I have nothing because I've only done a few shifts at Soup, like I just did. But
I think definitely just the cleaning part, because once COVID started, you realize how many people like touch things, and you're like, wait, like because you don't think about that usually. But now I'm like, wait, like you're more cognizant of it. So definitely like stuff is very important.
I'm totally a germaphobe now, I'm telling you. Like gloves, masks, spray.
That is huge.
I probably wash my hands like every 30 seconds at work and put on new gloves. I can't.
So which is more daunting, the 2 days in school or the 3 days at home?
I'd say the 2 days in school.
In terms of safety, it's definitely the 2 days in school.
Yeah.
When I say that, because I'm just worried about how I'm gonna like perform when I'm responsible for how I learn when I'm at home. I learned that I'm not very good at it.
I'm also concerned about the hand sanitizing, especially at the high school. Like every time you went to stick your hand under the little I forgot what those are called, but every time you went to stick your hand under, there would be none.
Right.
So like, are they even gonna have enough?
Or like,
are they gonna have enough supplies? Exactly.
We had dispensers.
Yes.
Anyway.
Where were they located?
I've
never seen them.
That's the point.
It's got to have a whole culture shift. Oh gosh.
And the nurses are going to be packed because every little thing, like if a kid has a fever, somebody's going to be in there. If they have a sore throat, someone's going to be in there. Like, how is that going to work too?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions left.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're not going to have enough ice packs to give for a little headache now.
No.
Is that's their solution for a headache? They give you an ice pack.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, I'm telling you. So these are all valid questions. I
do have a general-ish question. This is mostly for like Miss Marini, but like if anyone knows, please tell me. So that it's been like rumored or may have been confirmed at some point last school year that we were trying a different schedule for this year. Is that still happening? Does anyone know?
Darius, to try to answer your question, I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm in the car, so my service is not awesome. I think they had a million meetings and reopening committees. And like, I would say if you were to have asked in like January, they're like, yeah, definitely 2020, 2021 school year, we're going to try a new schedule with shorter lunch waves and a waterfall drop. It's not happening. Like, I think as soon as like April came along, they were like, yeah, we're done. Like, we got enough chainsaws to juggle. It's not happening. And I thank you guys so much for just letting me be a part of this and listen. And like, I miss your faces all so much. All right. I'm going back just to make sure that I don't lose you. All right.
We love you, Miss Marini.
I love you guys.
I also have another question, like about the SAT for seniors. So I registered to take the SAT August 29th. It got canceled. So now I'm taking it in September. But do you know if the school is gonna give us like
it got canceled?
Yes, mine got canceled. And I registered like 2 months ago.
Wait, okay, but they didn't send me anything, so maybe mine is
They didn't send me anything either until my dad checked the credit card information. He saw that he had a refund. I checked my email. They got nothing. I called the college board, and they finally decided to tell me that it got canceled.
Wait.
So
I didn't get you want to look that up. Oh my God. You see, it's just, I mean, but this, this is unprecedented times. Okay. So we got to give it a little bit of break. Wow.
I didn't know that. You just saved me from so much like, wow. Okay.
You can sign up for the ACT.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I signed up for the Shamar. When are you your ACT?
September 12th in Brantford.
And you're mine in October. Okay.
Oh wow.
Okay.
And how are they going to do that? Are they going to do that inside of a building? Are you going to have to be in a mask the whole time? And
yeah.
I was like, I'm going to have to take it in a mask. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I know. That's stressful enough, and then you have to be there the whole time and hopefully, oh Lord.
I'm looking at the College Board website now. See if my
literally, but the College Board, like I check my emails, I check the website, I check like my testing. There was no useful information, and my last option was to call them. So many kids calling them. Like,
if you go on the website, they have the states and then which locations were.
So when kids are eating lunch at school, right? Does that mean they're gonna have to take off their mask and be surrounded by each other?
Yeah.
So how is that even gonna work?
They said they have different places for kids to eat. The gym. I don't know where they're gonna eat at. I don't understand.
Miss Gannon said that in the cafeteria, they put desks 6 feet apart, all facing the same direction. So there won't be like lunch tables, I guess.
Hold on.
I was like,
You see, this is why we have to have these discussions, people. This is why we have to talk this thing out, because everybody's concentrated on the elementary schools, but we haven't talked about the older kids, like my middle schooler, the high schoolers. They're going to go in the lunchroom looking for a lunch table. It's not going to be there.
Wow, we really going to be shocked on the first day.
Right.
Well, that's a hard thing, is you shouldn't be shocked. Like they should, but there's so many things to communicate and so many new like basic functioning things that are going to change. And so how, I think it's important that they get on it so that they can communicate it not only to the teachers and the staff, but to you all, so you know what you're walking into.
It's already August 13th.
Right.
Right.
You don't even know what, I'm guessing you don't even know your class schedules yet, right? Because that was what Darius asked.
Until like a few days before. And I'm so glad you said that, because last year, Miriam and I had this whole thing with administration talking about transparency, student involvement, getting to make sure everybody knows everything. And what's happening now? Nothing. Like it's.
Yeah.
Well, and to be fair, at least I don't know if this is happening with the high school as much, but in the elementary school, there's sort of this chicken and egg thing where the school is waiting on the parents to commit to whether or not they're sending their kids into school or they're keeping their kids home. And the parents are waiting to make that decision until they hear from the school what the plan is. But the school can't make the plan until the parents make a decision, but the parents can't make a decision until the school makes a plan, right? So that's, I think it's, that I imagine that's similar to what's happening at the high school, where everything is just held up because everybody's trying to figure out where everybody is. And, there could be, they're making all these plans, assume under the assumption that things are going to remain relatively stable, right? And so, it's what happens when there's a spike. So I think that's part of the lack of transparency, is that they are still figuring it out. And, that's I'm not sure what the opt-out deal is for high schoolers. But the other justice concern I have is for the teachers, right? Like, do they have the opt-out option in the same way that families do? And if so, like, no. How many teachers can opt out before they say, like, oh, we don't have enough staff to run school in person?
Well, that's my question, right? Elizabeth, that's the biggest question. So what if somebody gets, what if you guys get sick? How many substitute teachers do you guys have?
I actually have to leave now.
Okay, that's okay, Marsha. We know we're almost wrapping it up now. We're almost done. Thank you for coming and talking.
Thank you for inviting me. Definitely have this again.
I will.
Bye.
I wish I had a good answer for you guys. I feel like in any given school year, there's never enough guest teachers to go around to meet the needs that could befall our staff on any given Tuesday. And in addition to that, like I've asked those same questions and I'm not getting great answers from directors or the people above me. Like, what happens when someone gets sick? Are people getting permission to do X, Y, and Z? Can you guys hear me? Or probably not?
Yes, you can. You're fine.
Okay. Sorry, it's hard to tell when you're on the road. But I don't think teachers were given a survey from Human Resources asking, like, can you come back? Can you not because of this? And then I think the Human Resource Director is calling each person one-on-one to kind of talk through those circumstances. But I mean, they want to try to keep the teachers in the building, which I understand, but there's not a lot, like, fear of getting COVID is not something you're not allowed to just stay home. Like, can't work that way. And that as someone who has
unjust.
As someone who has little small humans that she also wants to take care of, like, it's not fun. I will admit that.
Well, and then, like, if you live in New Haven and work in Hamden, right, your kids are home for the first 10 weeks. So how are you going to manage that? And I think, I'm glad that they have a survey for the teachers. I hope that they give them the flexibility to make the decision to stay home and then use that as the determiner about whether or not they can open.
Well, yeah, but then you have the other situation with, like I was telling the students, then you have the other problem with the parents who are the essential workers who have to go to work. Now they got to leave their kids at home. And I know, as Marisha, you have a 7-year-old sibling. So you'd have to be home with your sibling trying to
I had to change around my whole schedule just to, like, fit hers.
Wow.
Wow.
So it's so many things. I mean, going is going to be treacherous and scary, and then staying home is definitely could be problematic for those who can't, are essential, have to go in. Because I know a couple of teachers who have kids,
for violence at home and all that stuff.
They have to go. So it is. I know. okay, we got to make it to either a really good therapeutic or a really, really good vaccine or both. And I don't know how we're going to get between now and then. I mean, Connecticut's doing good. I mean, I'm really impressed with my state. We have kept this rate down. Governor Lamont's fining people who are not quarantining. He's giving out $1,000 fines. I was like, good job. But that's because the kids aren't going to school. You know, my kid comes home sick every year. By October, she's got something. See, yeah.
Yeah, and then how do you differentiate the coronavirus and the flu at the same time, even if it's in schools?
Well, I'm a hypochondriac, so we're going to get a coronavirus test. I'm going to be over there at the urgent care saying we're just going to need a nose swab because we got to find out whether we should make some final arrangements or not, because it's just really serious. We don't know.
Yeah. I have to get tested before I can even go on campus, and I don't want to. It looks painful.
It is.
No.
I haven't gotten it, but my friend has gotten it twice.
But I know they have the swab too.
They're doing the swab now, yeah.
Yeah.
And I hear we're very, very close to one that you can
spit.
You spit and it gets back in 20 minutes. Like we're very close for the FDA approving that type of, like you kind of just put some saliva and a little thingy and they test it and you're either good or bad. I mean, that would be great. Could you do that every day? Yes. How do you think the NBA and the WNBA and these sports teams are playing in a bubble? They're getting tested. The White House, everybody gets tested every morning before you enter that building, before you even get to the grounds. But like, we don't want to do, okay, I'm not going to preach about the testing.
Go ahead now, preacher.
Well, I mean, I just don't understand why, we send these messages that testing and all this isn't really important, but you're doing it every day to make sure all of you guys are well. But we're going to send kids back to school and we're not testing everybody who walks in the building.
One of the disconnects that is interesting to me is that the playgrounds, the public playgrounds are still closed. Like we haven't even determined that it's safe to go to public outdoor space with kids
so like a jungle gym.
So that's
it's like really.
And I just saw today that the AMC movie theater was planning on opening. I think in New York somewhere.
I do miss
the
movies. I do miss them.
Not going. So let's see I'll see if I can get on everybody's schedule for like next Tuesday, and I'll circulate a Google Doc, and you guys can circulate it. Just take the link and send it to all your friends. Tell them to add all their questions, even the teachers, if you have questions. And I'm going to invite Mr. Goler. He doesn't like me very much, but I'm going to invite him anyway to come on our next Zoom, and let's see, what he'll say. I mean, I don't see why not.
Marini's in the tunnel.
Not.
I saw the light change around her. It was like, is that a filter?
I muted myself and I told the kids, I was like, they always like to yell when we go through the tunnel. I'm like, I'm on mute. And they went, tunnel!
Yeah. Or we could do a sit-in too. I have really been excited about doing a sit-in here in Hamden, like an old-fashioned. We're just gonna sit in until we get our demands met. So I think that'd be totally cool.
What are there demands? Did I miss the first part of the conversation? Or it sounds like there's questions at this point.
Yeah, like what are they going to do about guidance counselors? What are they going to do about how they're going to police the masks? How are they going to police the distancing? And are the SROs involved in the discipline of this process? And then we have these other issues like what happens if somebody goes to the nurse? Is the nurse's office going to be cleaned and sanitized in between students? And I mean, there's just so many questions. They might have answers for all of them. We don't know. I think we put together a Google Doc, share it with maybe the Board of Ed and Superintendent Goler and see what they say. And maybe Miss Marini. Is Miss Marini? Should I call you that? I'm calling you Elizabeth because you're family.
I love that. You can call it I'm just happy to be a part of it, and I love it.
Let's just, you want to circulate it to some of the teachers too and see what their feelings are. Because I think that there's global issues, but then there's personal questions that I think a lot of people might have.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I think a lot of the questions that the students were raising, I've heard from staff as well. And I think that we're very much concerned about their safety more so than ours at this point. And we want to make sure that things are being thought through.
Yeah, and I don't think the teachers should put themselves at risk either. I mean, Simone has a teacher, her engineering teacher last year was 76. I mean, he's not coming back. I mean, he retired and came back in retirement because he loves teaching so much. But you know, we're going to lose him because he's not coming back. He's like, I can't come back. And he worked at Pratt and Whitney, an electric boat. I mean, he has got so much to give the kids, but so now they got to find a new engineering teacher for the middle school. So it's really
disappointing.
It's problematic. So, well, thank you guys so much. So this is gonna be because I couldn't get on the Facebook tonight. I don't know why, something weird was happening. Kept saying I couldn't communicate. So I actually went live on our YouTube channel, and then I'm gonna take the recording and put it on Facebook, you know, when we're done. So if anybody wants to watch it, they can. And you know, I think that you're a very, very brave teacher to come on Hamden Action Now.
I saw Marisha had shared it on her Instagram, and I was like, this sounds like a topic worth discussing. And to see these incredible students who I miss so much, it's just like, it takes my breath away. So to have the opportunity to hear their voices, to see your faces, it meant a lot to me. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. It's totally
cool. We really appreciate you so much and the work you do. Go ahead, Darius. I'm sorry.
Is that like a thing? Is there some sort of issue between teachers and taking this sort of progressive step to the advancement of Hamden? Like you said, Douglas Marini was great for being on this. Is that sort of?
Well, I can't seem to get teachers or police officers to come and talk to me.
Interesting.
I don't know. But stop laughing, Pastor Jack. Stop it. They don't want to talk to me. I don't know why. I just want to talk. I don't want to. You know, I just want to chat and say, you know, what do you guys think? Are we wrong? You know, but I love when
because they know protest. They know protest Rhonda. They don't know round table Rhonda. They need to get round table Rhonda.
Is cool.
Yeah.
She's really like, I'm not scary. I don't think. I think I'm pretty cool.
You're not.
All right, guys. So I'm going to send you guys the Google Doc in a few minutes, and then I'll probably send you another meeting invite for maybe 7 o'clock on Tuesday night. And then let's just see if we can't get some other stakeholders at the table and get some answers. So at least you'll have some comfort going into September.
All right.
That's great.
Thank you, Ron.
Awesome.
Thank you guys very much.
Have a great night, everybody. I appreciate you so much.
Have a good time.
Take care.